Hi, welcome to the Undaunted Man podcast. And we thought that in today's episode that we should introduce ourselves properly. And we are an organization, or I guess a partnership, that provides men's groups and executive coaching and relationship coaching that is overtly pro-human, pro-social, and spiritually grounded for men. So we're here to talk about what does all that mean? Well, firstly, it means that we meet you where you're at. Doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter what your life circumstances are. Doesn't matter what your life situation is. Doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. We don't care. It doesn't matter which spiritual path you're on. We don't care. We will meet you exactly where you're at, and help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And what that looks like depends on your specific and unique situation. So we can't tell you exactly what we'll do and how we'll support you because we don't know you yet. And once we get to know you and what matters to you and where you're starting from, that's when we'll together design a plan to help you get where you want to go.
It all begins, just to reiterate, it all begins with knowing who you are, us getting to know you and who you are. Mm-hmm. But I would also add that part of that getting to know who you are now, by the way, because who you were a year ago or 10 years ago doesn't mean anything. It's who are you now? Who are you being? And it was helpful for me to really get reflected by men's groups that I was in before I ever started this with Mark, to know who you're not. Because a lot of who I thought I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s and part of my 50s was so off from who I actually am. So I think that's really one of the first things we help men with, is to take a fresh look in the present moment. Who are you? And who are you in terms of how you behave, not what might come out of your mouth that you don't really stay in any kind of consistent integrity with. How do you do your life tells you a lot of what you need to know about how you're being. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a lot of pain and you're suffering a lot, then that's a great indicator that you're out of alignment with who you are. And we're really good at helping men get that clarity back, because I think we come into this life being as authentic as it gets, and then we lose our way. So a lot of what we do is help men find their way back to themselves. And capacity, yes. And capacity can always be expanded, and to evolve and to become pro-human and pro-social from a spiritually grounded place definitely requires an unflinching willingness to look at who you are and who you're not without rose-colored glasses. Mm-hmm. And that gets really uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yep. And the other thing that's true is that being pro-social and pro-human doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean not pursuing your dreams. It doesn't mean not being the best version of who you are. Basically, we help you become the best version of yourself as defined by you, and help you gain the skills and the strength and the spiritual groundedness according to your definition and what matters to you and the path that you've chosen, so that you can become the man that you want to be, and so that you can have the life that you want.
Very well put. The thing I'm going to add to it is that one thing we know from history is that on the pro-social side, if you interpret that like I do, as acknowledging that we all live in societies that are, American society is different than Polish society. But to acknowledge that we do this pathway that Mark and I are talking about is so much richer, and I'm not going to say easier because it's never easy, but it's so much more enlivening when you're doing
Mhm.
it in community, which, after all, is part of the pro-social, includes community. Our families, our neighborhoods, our churches, if we go to a church of any kind. So that's another thing that I really believe makes an enormous
Mhm.
difference for men that are hungry to get back on track with being who they want to be based on their values, their inner knowing, is having other reflections from other men who want the same thing. They'll each look like their individual knowing, but we all want that.
Mhm.
And it's much more difficult to do. Mark and I can attest, trying to do it like the friggin' Lone Ranger.
Mhm.
You gotta have people that can love you, that don't give a damn what color you are, that don't care what your politics are, because we never talk politics in Undaunted Man. That love you enough to say, you're right on track. I can feel that you're in alignment with what comes out of your mouth. Or, no, you're not. Where are you out of
Mhm.
alignment in yourself? Not to make me happy, but I can feel you when you're in integrity with who you are, and I'm not feeling you right now because what's coming
Mhm.
out of your mouth isn't matching the
Right.
energy you're throwing out.
Right. And why do we work with men exclusively at this point? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and that is that all of the institutions that used to support men, that helped men develop character, that helped boys transition into manhood, that contained all of the old rites of passage that made a man, are gone. They've all been systematically torn down for various reasons. And with absentee fathers, um, uh, either because of divorce or because they're working all the time, boys get raised primarily or almost exclusively by women now in many cases. Most teachers are women. Um, if there's a parent in the home, that is more likely to be a woman than a man. Daycare workers are mostly women. So boys don't get exposed to men, they get raised by women. And despite the best of intentions, women can't teach boys how to be men any more than men can teach girls how to be women.
Yep. Yep.
And so we help men develop character. We help men. We provide rites of passage. And there's no shame in it. There's no shame in being 35 and realizing even though you're an adult male with adult responsibilities, there's still aspects of you that has not made that transition from boy to man yet.
Amen.
There are opportunities to become more than you could ever dream.
Yeah. Rich opportunities.
Yeah.
So if we piqued your interest, hop on to the undauntedman.com.
Mm-hmm.
Download our free Solving the Masculine Dilemma. Look around at what we've written. Look at some of our other content that's online. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, The Undaunted Man. And if you can feel a little fear and excitement, because those are often identical feelings.
Or even a little anger.
Or a little anger, yeah, especially if you're pissed off. Like, fuck these guys. Then go onto our website and reach out to either me or Mark, and let's have a conversation for what could be possible. Awesome. Thanks for watching.